Welcome to Nurses Uncorked, where I pour out the unfiltered truth about healthcare life. I'm your host, Nurse Erica, serving up real talk straight from the front lines to your ears. Each episode, I'm uncorking conversations that matter to nurses everywhere, from the hilarious to the heartbreaking, the inspiring to the infuriating. No filters, just authentic nursing experience shared with a splash of humor and a dose of honesty. So grab your favorite beverage, put your feet up, I know they're tired, and join me as we uncork another episode of Healthcare Reality. Now let's get this shift started. Welcome to another episode of Nurses Uncorked, you guys, where I do the deep dive so you don't have to. And boy, are we doing a deep dive this week. I'm Nurse Erica, your trusted source for real talk, research facts, and fearless advocacy in nursing and healthcare. I want to thank everyone for downloading this episode. Please stop and do so if you haven't already. Don't forget to leave a review, rate, and share the podcast with friends and coworkers. Patrons of this podcast do get early access to episodes, patron-only bonus episodes, and patron-only Zoom parties. There is a link in the episode notes. My guest this week is a courageous mother of a diabetic child. Her name is Tia, and she's going to help me bring you guys the scoop on a story you may have heard about that's made nationwide headlines. And it's crazier than you think you know, and you're not going to hear it anywhere else. But here, this is truly, truly a scoop, and we are days before the next court date. Let me fill you in here. 2 months ago, a 44-year-old Las Vegas woman named Crystal Scott, who claimed she was a nurse practitioner, was exposed as an alleged fraud. Law enforcement claims she was charging hundreds of dollars for a concierge diabetic service for children, providing fake prescriptions and treating kids with diabetes. And did all this without any medical oversight. She allegedly has no medical license, nursing license, or certifications whatsoever. She's been charged with well over 70 crimes related to fraud and forgery, and at least 50, possibly 70 of them now are felonies. Scott has been charged with practicing nursing without a license, possession of forged prescriptions, furnishing insulin, and so much more. After posting bond, she said yeek and fled the country immediately while on bail. This is a case that has, like I said, made nationwide headlines and rocked the Las Vegas community, specifically the pediatric medical community, which I am intimately involved in and care deeply about. For years, I have worked alongside many of the medical professionals who were inadvertently involved in this situation. Moreover, this is my patient population. I feel very protective over it. I've spent over 20 years caring for pediatric patients in the Las Vegas Valley. This not only hits way too close to home for me, I kind of take it personally. And there have been some recent developments in this case that crazy doesn't even begin to touch it. Like, wait till you hear about this. You think you've heard about fake nurses before? None of them have anything on this chick. Wait till you hear this. So today we are joined by one of the mothers impacted, whose child was a patient of this fake nurse, Crystal Scott. Tia is bravely coming forward when others won't. And I have a little disclaimer for this episode. This is an ongoing investigation. Everything discussed in this episode is alleged. Her attorney has stated publicly that Crystal never meant harm to anyone and has a virtual complete lack of criminal history, and that she is a decorated Army vet. There are some things that our guest will not be able to share due to the nature of this ongoing investigation, but please help me in welcoming Tia. Welcome, Tia. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been crazy, definitely.
Yeah, and we're going to get into all of it. I can only imagine what a roller coaster you and your family have been on the last couple of months. First, can you tell us a little bit about how your daughter was initially diagnosed, and is she getting the treatment that she needs now?
So as of right now, she is not able to be seen. In Las Vegas, it's really, really hard to get into specialists, especially pediatric specialists. So when all of this happened, there were a lot of hoops that I had to jump through in order to even get an appointment. This happened in October. Our appointment is finally coming up in January.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. We have a severe lack of pediatric specialists here in Southern Nevada, and it's not easy to get in with them. That's absolutely true. Would you say it's safe to say that the parents in general were pleased with Crystal as a provider? They loved her, in fact. Can you kind of explain why that is?
Yes. Yeah. So when all of this kind of happened, there were two camps of people in the diabetic community. There were the people that absolutely were, there was no way that they were going to go against her. They didn't want to listen to anything that the police had to say. And then there were people that we were able to kind of pull her character away from like the crime and kind of look at it that way. She was a really, really wonderful um person to our children. So, for example, my daughter suffers from low self esteem. She just feels weird because she has all of these devices all over her body. She has to go to the nurse's office more than she's in her classroom sometimes. She
Sure.
gets special attention and she feels like a freak. And so, one of the things that Crystal was actively working with her was how to advocate for herself, how to confidently advocate for what she wanted on her body and like it's those things that normal doctors they don't care. They don't care about. So when you have somebody that is willing to listen, that talks to your child instead of to you, um, and like makes sure that my 7-year-old is okay with what is happening to her body instead of saying, "Oh, you need to just, this is what's best for you and you need to get over it." Like those are the
Yeah.
things that make a difference in building rapport.
And that's valid and shouldn't be underestimated. That's true. A lot of the time, providers and even nurses sometimes will not speak directly to the child. And that's so important to include them in their treatment. I want to applaud you for your courage and your bravery in coming forward. We know that there is at least 12 to 15 kids and families that were directly affected according to the investigation, although there's reason to believe that the number might be higher. Apparently, only a couple of families have been forthcoming, willing to cooperate, allegedly. And so, aside from being obligated to speak to law enforcement, as far as I know, you're maybe the only one or one of just a couple who's been willing to speak publicly. And I was shocked to learn why that might be when you and I spoke previously. Can you speak to why you think some of the parents might be hesitant to come forward?
I don't know if they don't believe it or if they just don't think that she did anything wrong because no one was hurt. There there have only been two families that were willing to help the police in any way. And there there are 15 families in the Clark County School District, but there are also homeschooling patients. There are patients
Yeah.
that aren't old enough to be in public school yet, and then there are the private school and charter school patients that they aren't included in the charges, but they definitely exist.
Yeah.
And so I think
So
it's
the
really
number's
scary that
probably
these
higher than 12 to
yeah.
safe to say it's probably higher. I heard that about 50 patients left the previous peds endocrinology practice and followed her when she opened her new
Mhm.
clinic. And so if that's even remotely accurate, obviously that's much higher than 15.
Yes. So it wasn't just pediatric patients because the docs, which is where she worked before, they were seeing all patients. So they were seeing pediatrics, adults, weight management, all of it. So I know that everybody, like a lot of people followed her, and she put that practice in a position where they had to cancel appointments because she didn't just take their patients, she took the staff too. So when she decided to leave, it was like there was this meeting. Apparently, this had been in the works where she was going to be walking out. And from what she has said to me, something happened in that meeting where there were things that were said that she wasn't comfortable with. And so they ended up just leaving right then. She took nurses, she took PAs, the front desk, like she took everyone, which is how I found out that she left because I was one of the patients that they called to cancel my appointment because they didn't have staff.
Yeah. Would you say that maybe there's fear for some of the other parents in being blacklisted possibly from any of the practices if
Yes.
they speak out or any kind of retaliation?
Yes. So one of the biggest reasons why we left wasn't just because she was very charismatic and seemingly caring. I personally, I'm only going to speak to why I left, but I left because Dr. Dwan, who was working at the docks, when my previous endocrinologist had retired, he was the only one on my plan. So I had to go to him, and we were on the Omnipod and the Dexcom. When we got there, first appointment, he looked at us and he said that if we did not change to the Medtronic pump, we would be banned from his office. And so, with no other providers on my plan, I didn't have a choice. It took away everything. It took away complete autonomy in deciding medical care. There are so many different pumps. And so for him
Mhm.
to, the Omnipod works best for my daughter because she is in gymnastics and ice skating and she's very active. So having tubes and wires, it doesn't work for her.
Gotcha.
When we did, because we had to switch over to the Medtronic, when we did switch over, she would pull on it when she was doing any type of physical activity. It gave her infections.
Mm,
So
yeah.
Crystal was offering to put us back on what we knew, what worked for us. And so we left. But the people that left, he didn't let them come back.
Yikes. I want to say that to my knowledge, Dr. Dewan has not been implicated in any of these charges or anything to that extent. And again, these are allegations and it's your personal experience, but I think it gives some insight into some of the struggles that the parents might be dealing with in wanting to stay quiet or not stay quiet. But in any case, the fact that only two of you have spoken is, in my opinion, outrageous. I mean, no matter how wonderful she was, and I don't doubt that from what you described, that does sound valid and so needed for the PEDS patients. But if you now know as a parent that she was, in
Hmm.
fact, a fake provider, a fake nurse, and all these other things that we'll get into, how can you not be irate? How can you not feel that even if nothing happened, that your kids weren't potentially put in danger? I mean, I don't know why you'd want to stay quiet. I applaud your
Life
bravery. More
threatening.
people need to be that way.
It, you know, when everything first happened, me and my husband had this conversation of, well, we're gonna, give the police what we have, but that doesn't mean that we have to testify against her. And then as like things started to click and things started to make more sense and pieces started to be put into place, because it just didn't make sense to have this provider that was very communicative and caring. She was on it. She, like, in a provider, if you thought about like who you would want personality wise working on you, like if you were on the deathbed, like that's who you would want. She was caring. She was very, like, her bedside manner was wonderful. So it just didn't make sense. So, but as
Yeah.
everything started to come together and the police never told us anything. I had to go to the news in order to get information as to like what happened.
Yeah.
But as it started to come together, like me and my husband, we sat down and we were like, this is insulin. These are diabetic children. This is a life-threatening disease. This is dangerous medication. Like, she was playing God.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
it's a miracle that there is not a trail of bodies leading back to her.
I agree. Can you take us through the course of events that led up to your child becoming a patient of Crystal?
Yeah. So we were seeing Dr. Saad, and Dr. Saad had left. She retired in April, I believe. And so after she retired, we started to go to see Dr. Dwan. He told us we needed to get onto the Medtronic pump, otherwise we were going to be banned from his office. So we got onto the Medtronic pump. There was not really a ton that we could do, and that was in June. So we went to the first appointment. She was listed as a provider on his website. So she was the one that helped us get all of the like the new setup on her. She taught us how to do it. And then we had an appointment a week later to change everything out. because it was a completely new setup. Like the Medtronic it's very, very different in how you put it on and how you use it. So I wasn't comfortable. I've been using the Omnipod for 3 years. I was not comfortable moving over. So when I was called the day before my appointment, when I was supposed to go back to have her make sure that I knew how to change everything out, they said, "We don't have staff to assist you tomorrow, so you can either reach out to Medtronic or you can use YouTube videos."
No, not the YouTube videos. God,
Yeah. So,
no.
so I immediately started looking up. They told us that she had left, and so I was like, I don't care where she went. If she went to a new practice, I'm going with her.
Uh-huh.
So I started to try and like find her on Facebook, and luckily she had posted in one of the type 1 diabetic Facebook groups. So I messaged her on Facebook, and she was more than happy to help me walk me through 100% right then and there. She was able to link into my daughter's Follow app so that she could see like all of her numbers in case I needed help with, hey, from this time to this time she's going high or low or whatever. So it did seem very, very up and up. And she walked us through. She made sure that I knew how everything worked, and then she let us know that she had started a diabetic concierge service because of how fast everything had moved over. She wasn't um she hadn't done all the paperwork to do insurance yet. So it was going to be $50 a month, which is how much I pay for a copay anyway.
Yeah.
And she was going to be able to doctor's orders, prescriptions, and and she was working under an endocrinologist, and she was in talks with another pediatric endocrinologist from Washington to come down and work in her practice as well,
As
was
far
what
as
we
you
were
were
told.
told.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have to talk about the name of this diabetic concierge clinic because I can barely say it without laughing. Are you guys ready for this, listeners? It was named Glucose and Glow. It was located on the south end of the Las Vegas Strip, apparently above a hair salon. So I
Hmm.
mean, just on the surface, like if that isn't a red flag, I don't know what is. She was offering up weight loss medication treatment, Botox, thyroid disease treatment, and a side of peds endocrinology. Like,
Hmm.
I think I'll get a little Botox and Ozempic while my kids' insulin is adjusted. No one thought that was weird?
So she didn't invite us to her clinic. Everything was on telehealth. Like all of the appointments were
Okay.
over telehealth. So she
Okay.
didn't have us come in. I'm sure the people that were getting Botox went in, but the Botox wasn't a huge red flag for me because my dentist office does Botox. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
everywhere in
That's
Vegas. So it just
true.
didn't seem like a red flag.
That name though, Glucose and Glow.
Yeah. Yeah. So we actually found, so she had like rebranded her. Originally, she just had like the Botox thing on the side, and after everything started to come out, me and my husband we started following stuff, and she had like rebranded her. It was originally called the Crystal Touch, and that was her Botox like
Okay.
spa thing. And then
Okay.
when everything happened, she just changed the name to Glucose and Glow.
Got
And
it.
so I just don't think that she was willing to give up like the Botox thing. I think she was making
It
too
was
much
probably
money on it.
lucrative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The case cracked when she was caught by a school district nurse, which shout out to that nurse. And if that nurse hears this podcast or you know her and you're willing to speak to me, reach out because I would love to talk to you or anyone involved for that matter. If you are willing to come forward, please reach out to me. But what is your understanding of how it was discovered and how were you informed? How'd you find out?
It was like a scam. So how they found out was the school nurse had called Dr. Walker, who was the doctor that she was using, had called Dr. Walker to get a clarification on a doctor's order. Apparently, they had put 24 instead of 25 or, whatever. It was like a date
For the
issue.
year.
And Yeah, for the
Yeah.
year. And so when these doctor's orders, they're good for a year. So if the year is wrong, it's kind of bad. So she called to get a clarification, and the doctor was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know this patient. I don't know
Oh
what
my
you're talking
gosh.
about." Like, he had absolutely no idea. And so that was, I think, on a Friday. I would imagine over the weekend they had many, many meetings because there were so many diabetic children. They had to figure out what they were going to do. And they immediately contacted the police, opened up that investigation. And I think it's hilarious that a lot of the parents are pissed because the school gave the police their kids' names and they're up in arms about
Mm,
HIPAA and this and that.
yeah.
But I just don't think that they realize how dangerous it was what she was doing. So I found out I was at Disneyland on a Sunday
At the happiest place on
and
earth.
not anymore. So I was on the Star Wars ride and on a ride and I get a call and it was just I noticed the county phone number.
Right.
And so I was like, that's weird. So I picked it up and I couldn't hear what she was saying. And she was like, hey, this is so and so from the Clark County School District Health Services, and I need to discuss your daughter with you. And I was like, I'm a little busy. Can this wait?
Yeah.
And immediately she snapped and she was like, well, I just want to let you know that your daughter's not going to be able to come to school tomorrow. So if that's not important to you, yeah, I can give you a
Oh
call
my
back.
God.
I
Wow.
was.
With the
And
gaslighting. Wow.
looking back, she had probably calling 12 families saying, hey, your kid can't come to school.
Right.
She'd probably been reamed a few times.
I'm sure.
But
But that's to be expected.
a little bit of bedside manner, switch off, have someone help you, like tap out. But she was pissed. And so I was like, "Okay, well, why?" And she goes, "You need to get new doctor's orders, and until then, I can't come to school." And I was like, "Okay, well, can you tell me why? Why are these doctor's orders not working?" And she goes, I'm not at liberty to discuss it. I can't tell you."
That must have
Okay?
been so frustrating.
I
And because you would never think that this would be the reason why. So your mind is probably going every other direction. I would have been so pissed as a parent. What do you mean my
Oh,
kid can't come
yeah.
back to school? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was texting Crystal in seconds. I was like,
Uh-huh.
hey, what's going on? Apparently the doctor's orders aren't valid anymore. Can you tell me like what is happening? And she had no idea. I was the first parent that had reached out to her. So she made a post on Facebook saying, hey, if anybody is having issues with CCSD, reach out to me. And so as all of these parents are getting calls, she's getting flooded. And so we're on our way home that night, and I'm on the phone with her. She sent me new doctor's orders with a different doctor's name, with a different license
Mm,
number. And because that was my first question, was if there's something wrong with this doctor's like license or whatever, do you have someone else that you can quickly get us orders for so she can go to school tomorrow? And oh yes, yes, of course we have several. She did. She sent me new ones. So the next day, I'm on the phone
okay.
with the school district. The principal of my school wasn't even notified that my daughter wasn't going to be able to go to school. It made no
Wow.
sense. The nurse got an email that said, here's a list of patients, or here's a list of children. Their doctor's orders are no longer valid. Do not provide them medical care.
Okay. Let's go through some of the degrees, certifications, experience that she has alleged to have to hold because this list is crazy. And there's even more cuz wait till we get into the new stuff that we came across. But just on the surface, BSN, MS and Masters of Science in Dietetics, Nutrition and Exercise Physiology, claimed to be a registered dietitian, a CDCES, which is a Certified Diabetic Care and Education Specialist, a
Hmm.
CSP, a Certified Specialist in Pediatric Nutrition, Certified Insulin Pump Trainer with Omnipod, MiniMed, and Tandem, personal training certification, USA weightlifting and yoga certifications. Also claimed to have years of experience in bariatric surgery, lactation, infant nutrition, prenatal, postpartum, and so much more. She allegedly worked at a diabetes association summer camp for kids as a camp nurse, reminding you guys she's not a nurse. Spoke at conventions as an expert, provided public
Mhm.
testimony for the Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment Systems Pharmacy and Therapeutic Committee. And she claimed that she was on the board of the Nevada Diabetes Association. Just to name a few, she went all in. She didn't just say she's a nurse, she didn't just say she's an NP. She's like, let me add in everything under the sun. I mean,
Everything everything that she could possibly add, she did. So she was on the board of the Nevada Diabetic Association.
was okay, so I wonder she must have provided fake qualifications, I'm sure.
She did.
Yeah. And there's so many
So,
lies that it's hard to differentiate any of the truth from the lies. You almost have to assume it's all made up, even if some of it is actually true, you know?
yeah, she was doing to my knowledge, she was doing medical research as well. She was doing medical research for Medtronic and Baqsimi.
Okay.
And this is where it it makes me so angry that it wasn't caught with Dr. Dwan.
Mhm.
Because he is a very known pediatric endocrinologist. The man is brilliant.
He is, yeah. I've
Um,
known him for years. Yeah, he is.
yeah, he's not the nicest. He doesn't have any bedside manner, but he is brilliant. So he did give her a lot of credibility, by,
Mhm.
she worked with him for 6 years, and I
Was
I
it that long?
just
6 years?
according to her
Wow.
bio on his website, it was 6 years.
Okay.
So, it was interesting to, because that's how she got so involved in the community, was through being under such a known pediatric endocrinologist. The man ran for governor
Mhm.
at one point. So,
Yeah.
like, he doesn't have any blame as to what she did, but
Right.
he really should look at himself for allowing her to get so involved. He gave her access to all of these different things. Baqsimi, Medtronic, the
Mhm.
Diabetic Association, the summer camps, because that's where my daughter first met her, was at summer camp.
Okay.
It's
I mean, I will say, just to play devil's advocate, when you're the doctor and it's your practice, you're not the one that's going to be doing the background checks and verifying credentials, right? Like you have a staff that's going to, not that that makes it okay, but it wouldn't have been him personally doing that, you know? But clearly
no.
someone dropped the ball somewhere in his practice in the
I'm
hiring.
more talking about, like, he should have known just by talking to her that, like, she
Yeah,
probably didn't
that's
have all the
concerning.
qualifications.
There
Yeah,
must have been red
because like,
flags. Yeah.
yeah, he had to, because it had to have been a learn as you go type of a thing, and so for her to be claiming to have, all of these certifications, how did he not pick up on the knowledge that she did or didn't have?
True.
Because even
Yeah.
the Diabetic Association, like, they did background checks, and I talked to them. I talked to somebody. I don't remember who I talked to over there, but I did talk to them, and she was like, "I'm staring at her nurse's license, so I don't know how this happened."
Which she
But
stole, and we'll circle back to that. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
so, like, I don't blame him for not catching her in the background check, or because the way that she did it was very, very clever. But just being able to talk to her and say, okay, maybe she doesn't have all of this knowledge, I think is where I think he should maybe look at his
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. I'm sure that there must have been times where she said something inappropriately or questioned something she should have known that would have raised an eyebrow or two, like you should know that, you know? She was allegedly also an army medic, right? She told the media at one point she served in the army from from 2000 to 2006, including a tour in
Mhm.
Iraq. We know she was a military spouse at one point. I don't know if she did post some pictures that looked like she was in the army in uniform. I don't know if, I just question everything she's ever claimed at this point. But to me, the nursing identity theft, the medical professional identity theft is almost like another form of stolen valor, right? I know you and I had kind of talked about that before. And stolen valor, for those that may not know, refers to the act of falsely claiming military awards or service that you didn't actually earn for personal gain. And I mean, that's kind of what this is when you're stealing, aside from it being a crime, it's crazy.
Um, I do think that she was in the military. I don't know if she's as decorated as she likes to say, but her lawyer has also been flaunting oh, she's a pillar of the community. She's a member of like she's a veteran. And so
Yeah.
I don't think that he would say that if it was a lie, but
Yeah.
I don't know how the military, if this is true, like I don't know how they would be okay with them flaunting her status or her military status or what she's done in the armed forces while facing 70 felonies against children.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Good point.
seem great.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. So new details in Crystal's past have recently come to light, and it goes so much deeper. I'm telling you guys, this needs to be a Netflix documentary one day, and I think it will be eventually when this case finally concludes. But based on investigations from the Arizona Daily Independent, I'm just gonna highlight some because there's so much more. She also posed as a registered dietitian and nutritionist in Arizona. She claimed to have cancer twice. The Commission of Dietetic Registration has allegedly no record of Crystal Scott in any of the states that she claimed to be an RD in, which is Arizona, Nevada, and Colorado. She was allegedly listed as a registered dietitian at a private group practice in Arizona. She received donations and community support for her two alleged bouts of cancer in 2016 in Arizona and then again in 2018 in Colorado. But while she was posting on social media about her ongoing chemotherapy cancer treatment, she was also allegedly training and competing at a CrossFit gym. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Eventually, she announced she was cancer free and moved states and kind of repeated the same wash and repeat the same story pattern again. And then at one point, she claimed that the doctors recommended she seek treatment at hospitals in Massachusetts and Reno, which I laughed so hard because Massachusetts, yes, but no one's recommending that you seek treatment in Reno. I'm just saying. She even held a shaving your head party to shave her hair off and raise money. Multiple people shaved their heads in solidarity. She was featured in articles as a certified registered dietitian nutritionist. And she was involved in this bizarre breastfeeding scandal when she founded the Mom to Mom breastfeeding campaign at an Air Force base and arranged for a photo shoot of women breastfeeding in uniform, which I actually think is kind of cool. We should be promoting that. She was even on an episode of The Ricky Lake Show back in 2012. Like, it goes deep.
Yeah, and like the thing that made me the most mad was with the head shaving party was
Yeah.
that like the business closed down for the whole day for that
Yeah, the hair
and did
salon
it
to
for
support
free.
her.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
mm.
Like she went all in, all in. Again, she didn't just say she's a nurse or an NP. She went over the top with it. Do you feel that some of her criminal charges should include something along the lines of assault or battery? I mean, she physically treated children and she was not qualified to do so, even if there wasn't any apparent harm that we know.
I don't I don't think so. She is facing child abuse and neglect. Um
Mhm.
and I think that that is probably as far as those charges are going to go against the minors because most of the patients were seen through telehealth. So they weren't physically touched. But I do think that she could be looking at assault or battery for the patients that she was treating for Botox and lip fillers because she was going after
Yeah,
these.
that's true.
I mean, think about the people that get Botox and lip fillers. They wanna look nice, and you have someone that's unlicensed going after your face with a needle.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that she could be
terrifying. I
looking
can't
at
imagine.
yeah, I think she could be looking at assault or battery for them. For the children, probably not. I think the patients that she was seeing at Dr. Dwan's office, maybe, because she did have physical contact with them.
That's true.
The
Or
patients that
at
she
the
was seeing at
practice
the
in
summer camps.
Arizona. Yeah.
Yep, or the summer camps. I
Yeah.
think it's extremely like, there was a question of, was this malicious, right?
Yeah. What do you think?
And I think if she actually wanted to cause these children harm, she had opportunity to do so when she was alone with them at camp. Um, I think that I don't think it was malicious towards the kids. I think it was extremely reckless. And I think that more than anything, she was feeding her own ego. I think that she wanted to be more important than maybe she was.
Yeah.
And she was picking on a very vulnerable community full of parents who are very needy because their kids are dying.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about what type 1 diabetes is, like, these kids they are looking death in the face every day. Every time that they go low and we give them a snack, we are literally saving their lives. So, there are, especially early on in the beginning of diagnosis, she does get to feel needed and wanted, and she gets to be relied on, and
Yeah.
um, and she gets to be that person, and I don't know if I can tell you it's selfish, but I don't know that it was malicious in, like, actually wanting to cause harm to the kids.
Yeah, I mean, her heart may have very well been in the right place. It sounds from your description like she genuinely cared about the kids and went the extra mile. But like, go to school, man. If you
Do it
want
the
to
right
do this
way.
bad, go to school. You don't have to get the 10,000 certifications, but go get your RN, at least, and then maybe your NP. But come on.
And she was in the military, they would pay for her school.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like, there's no reason other than she didn't want to. She
Yeah,
didn't
I mean,
wanna take the
it's a
time to
lot of
do it
work,
because they
but
would've paid for her school.
that's true. I hadn't even thought of that.
Now for your enema of the week.
This week's Enema of the Week award is brought to you as always by Happy Bum Co., a leader in at-home enema solutions. All right, guys, real talk for a second. We all have those days where our gut is not exactly our biggest fan or supporter. Maybe you're bloated, sluggish, or just feeling off. I know I've had way more than my fair share of those days recently since recovering from surgery. Well, let me introduce you to something that has genuinely changed the game for so many of you out there because I hear from you guys. Happy Bum Co., the at home enema company that's making gut health way less awkward and a whole lot more empowering. Happy Bum Co. takes something that used to feel intimidating and turns it into a simple, comfortable spa day of sorts for your inside. Their kits are beautifully designed, super easy to use, and honestly kind of make you feel like a GI superhero. Whether you're looking to detox, de-bloat, or just give your body a little extra support, they've thought of everything from high quality equipment to organic blends that support your cleanse gently and naturally. And because you're part of the Nurses Uncorked community, you get a little perk. You can use code Nurses Uncorked for 15% off your first bundle. There's a link in the episode description. Take care of your gut, take care of your energy, and take care of you, please. Check out happybumco.com and see why so many people are making enemas their new favorite form of self care. I have a repeat Enema Award recipient this week, and I don't think that I've ever done that before. And it's a little bit sad because, unfortunately, this week's Enema of the Week award goes once again to my former podcast co host, Nurse Jessica Seitz. And I'll tell you why. It recently came to my knowledge that the website, nursesuncorked.com, is no more. It doesn't exist anymore. Apparently, the domain was let go, mysteriously sold or relinquished or something. Of course, behind my back, of course, unbeknownst to me. This is alleged. I have no way of proving it, but there's history here, right? Of repeated, ongoing sabotage that, once again, she's admitted to on video, right? I can tell you this: when I had to go in to have her removed from the LLC, which she voluntarily signed off on herself, but when I went into the Zen business account, there were a ton of things unpaid, way past due, that I had to catch up and pay exorbitant late fees on. So I would think that even if there was no purposeful intent on this, I would be willing to bet that she received notices saying that whatever fee is due to continue the domain, those notices, and didn't pay it or forward it to me or do the right thing at all, right? I'd be willing to bet that in the very least that's what happened. But judging on past actions, it could very likely have been concerted, planned, strategic sabotage once again. So, again, legal ramifications because podcast sponsors and whatnot, not to mention a place that people go to actually access the podcast, right? So it just keeps digging the hole deeper and deeper and adding more evidence to the pile. And I've stayed quiet about it for a while, but this fight is not over. Trust and believe. And so, yeah, it's very sad that she apparently doesn't care about her own reputation or something that was a huge part of her life for like a long time, right? Like 2 years, It's her legacy as much as it is mine, the first 99 episodes. And so you would think that she would have a invested interest into seeing it succeed, but that's only for accountable, functional adults, right? So yeah, there's no website right now. We'll see what happens with that. This week's Enema of the Week award once again goes to Nurse Jessica. Well, unfortunately, Crystal Scott is not the only person out there posing as a fake nurse. It has become so prolific the last couple of years since Operation Nightingale came to light. I actually have a playlist on my TikTok titled Fake Nurses because there's so many being discovered all the time. In this case, Crystal allegedly stole a real Nevada nurse's license number that had the same name as her, I believe, and then went on to create an NPI number for herself to be a provider. I don't recall any others of fake nurses specifically affecting the pediatric patient population until now. There may be, but not that I'm aware of. I imagine it must leave you and the other parents feeling incredibly vulnerable.
It was scary at first because um it was all of the stages of grief, I would say. Because at
Yeah,
first it was, why would she do that? Like we were looking up her NPI. We were looking up all of these things to see if we could follow the trail that the police were hinting to. Because they never came out and said she's not a nurse. They asked a lot of leading questions. Um,
interesting.
that hinted at what they were looking at, but they
Like
never
what?
told us the
Do you
charges.
recall any of the questions? If you're allowed to share.
They asked us so they asked me. I don't know how many parents actually went and talked to the police. I know that they
Okay.
they got a lot of pushback. But they asked me where I had met her. They asked if I had ever met the physician that she was working under. They asked if I was under the impression that there was a physician that she was working under, if I was under the impression that like what kind of a medical professional did she allude to being? What did she
Mm.
say that her business could do? So because when we were talking to her, well, at least when I was talking to her, she was saying, Dr. Dewan is pissed. I left. I took his staff. He had to cancel appointments. He's retaliating. All of it is complete retaliation. I've been in touch with lawyers. We're gonna start a class action because of all of these children that have been kicked out of school. It's all BS. And
That's what she
like,
was
I'm
telling
so
people. And
sorry.
for all we know,
Yeah.
that practice may have discovered her falsifying and stealing identities. I don't know. Maybe that's why they fired her. Who knows what happened?
Yeah. So That's what she was saying. So now cut to later, because she got to all of us first. So now cut to later when the police are asking these like leading questions. And then they show me her picture, and I was like, or they asked me to do a photo lineup, and I had to pick her out, and I was like, wait, you're going after her? Because it was, maybe there's something wrong with one of the other doctor's licenses. Maybe it's someone I work with. It's all retaliation. He ran for governor. He's very in the community.
Uh-huh.
So, he's just trying to cause us a hassle. We're going to start a class action. And so I was shocked when I saw her picture, and I was like, okay. So after that, was like trying to accept what she was being accused of, and then getting the call that she had been arrested, when they don't typically, like, even in these massive cases that you see in the media, there are always people that are like, well, if there's all this evidence, why haven't you arrested them? So
Right.
if they had enough evidence to arrest her in 2 days,
Yeah.
I
Is
was
that what it was?
that
2
was kind
days
of,
after you found out from the school?
yeah, yeah.
Wow, that was
It
quick.
was 2 days.
Okay.
They arrested her. So it was like, oh, okay. And then so I was angry, and then I was upset, and then I was scared, because now
Yeah.
if my child goes into DKA, I have no one to call.
Right.
I have to go to the hospital and pray that they have a pediatric endocrinologist on staff,
That's true
because
because they
I
don't
can't
all.
get
They
in.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of hospitals that don't even
So
treat peds here.
yeah. And so, like,
Yeah.
if something happens, she did put my daughter's life in danger. So it was terrifying. Because I still haven't been able to get in. I got my pediatrician to write prescriptions, but he made it clear that insulin is far too dangerous for him to make any type of dose changes
Adjustments.
or anything.
Right.
Yep. He's willing to allow me to do what we are already doing, because that hasn't
Okay.
killed her. But anything else, if we have
Yeah.
any problems, we're on our own until we can get in to see
Oh
a doctor.
my God. Okay. Well, almost immediately after she was released on $50,000 bail, she took off with her family, with I think 6 kids, and fled to, wait for it, Albania, of all places. Now, Albania and the US do have an extradition treaty, a fairly recent one actually from 2020, meaning they would extradite her back to the US if needed. Conditions of her bail include not practicing medicine. I think that's reasonable. And no contact with children other than her own. I believe there's a preliminary hearing scheduled for this week, right? Is it still on for
Mhm.
December 10th that you know of? It is. And
Yeah,
do we
I looked
think
at it
she's going to
yesterday.
show?
No, she's not coming back.
Do you think she's going to be
She
there?
started a TikTok. No, no. She started a TikTok. She's a travel
Yeah,
influencer
yeah.
now. She doesn't
Tell them
even
what
know.
she's doing now.
Yeah. She opened a TikTok. My cousin found it. And she had opened this TikTok 2 days after getting out on bail, and it was, look at the view from my bedroom. It almost makes the 25 bags that I needed to move my family out worth it. Or this is what the view looks like when you stop listening to your haters. Haters where? Your victims?
Yeah, the
Police? Like, haters
victims.
where? Yeah. Like, oh my
She's
God.
rebranded as a
So,
travel influencer now. Like,
a
and
travel
in the
mom
past,
influencer.
yeah, and she's tried to do like the whole mommy influencer thing, right? I mean,
hmm
this reeks of desperate for attention and narcissistic personality disorder, right? To me.
Yeah. So I do have a psych degree, and I've looked, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Let's try it again. Let's
Let's
move. We're gonna
rebrand in
do
another
a
direction.
yeah, and she can just do it like it's normal. Like, this is just okay.
It's so
How can
bizarre.
she
She immediately fled to Albania of I mean, now she's a like, come on. You've got to be a narcissist. You've got to be desperate for attention. Like, you would think facing 70 criminal charges, you might lay low for a minute, right? You would think. Nope.
Yes, yes. And it's like, how are you not just like panicked? If you're running from the police and you're running from a country, how are you okay with suddenly, I'm going to be an influencer. I'm going to be so known. My face is going to be out there and I'm going to show everybody how to do whatever. You should show everybody how to hide in a closet if you're going to run away.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Is there any like final thoughts that you want to share that we haven't touched on, whether it be with the other parents that have been affected or maybe the Southern Nevada medical community as a whole that we need to do better for treating kids in this community? Anything?
I'm really upset with like the DA and the judge who decided to let her go on such a low bail for
Yeah.
as many felonies and what she was facing. I do understand that she herself has a disabled child. She has a diabetic child from what she says. I do understand that, she has responsibilities of her own. She has kids that she has to take care of. But for them to not ask for her passport, not ask for an ankle monitor, and then
Yeah.
just think that she's not gonna run, I think that that was ridiculous. And for them to let her go on such a small bail, they should be ashamed of themselves. So
I agree.
I hope that in the future that they do better, that they kind of see the writing on the wall. If I was facing that many felonies, I'm out of here too. I'm gonna, like that's
Right?
what makes sense. In the fight or flight, like I'm gone. So
Yeah.
for them not to see that coming it's ridiculous. And then for the parents that haven't come forward to help, like I I hope that they're seeing that she's maybe not as innocent as she likes to say that she is. Character wise, she did make us believe that our children mattered to her. She did. She was a very she
Empathetic.
taught us what yeah, she taught us what medical professionals should look like. But she did that while putting our kids' lives at risk. And I really
That's a good
hope
way to
that
state it.
I really just hope that they're seeing what she's doing and maybe they will come out and help because I know the investigation is still active. They are still looking into more of the things that she did. They're trying to get more of the patients that she was seeing, and I really hope that they come forward and they help because if she gets off, she's going to do it again. She's going to rinse and repeat and she's going to start over somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't realize till now that one of her own kids is diabetic. That kind of explains a lot. So she would have somewhat of a working knowledge, going in on how to treat them and the different pumps or whatnot, right? That makes a lot of sense now, actually.
As you were going over like all of her certifications and all of these like acronyms after her name, doesn't it sound like maybe she came across a patient that had this and then was like, you know what? I helped them. I'm an expert now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could have been what it was.
It could have been. Yeah. And I want to echo what you said to the other parents and just reiterate again that, thank you for being courageous, for coming forward and for having the ability to see this holistically. You two things can be true at the same time, right? You can be
Mhm.
a nice caring person who maybe had her heart in the right place while simultaneously being a criminal and placing kids' lives in jeopardy. Two things can be true at the same time. And if more people don't cooperate, come forward, these types of situations are just bound to happen more and more, right? You've got to do your part in halting it to the best of your ability. And so to the other parents out there, whether you reach out to me, the police, whomever, the DA's office, whatever, but tell your story because this is not okay. No matter how nice she
Mhm.
was, this is criminal behavior. And she absolutely was practicing without a license and placing kids' lives at risk. It's very scary. I mean, I've been a registered nurse for over 20 years, treating a million, countless diabetic pediatric patients. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing the things that she did as a qualified nurse,
No.
you know?
And there are normal endocrinologists that treat adults that will not treat pediatric patients
Correct.
because it's too dangerous.
Yeah.
For like I said, like my pediatrician won't treat my daughter. So like and he's been a doctor for a long time. You know, he has his own practice too.
Yeah.
These professionals, even specialists, they won't treat pediatric patients because it's dangerous. Their hormones are going everywhere, they're growing, like it's just dangerous. It's scary. So for her to
Yeah.
think that she had enough knowledge to do it
Yeah.
is telling.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's a specialty for a reason, you know? Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, Tia. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And please keep us updated if there's any new information to share. And I hope that your daughter gets the specialist and the treatment that she deserves as soon as possible.
Thanks.
With that was a lot, you guys, and I'm so happy that I've been able to bring you this scoop basically on this ongoing story because it's not really being told anywhere to this extent. And I want to thank my guest, Tia. That was really brave and phenomenal. I'm thinking maybe I should go to the court hearing this week. What do you guys think? I'll keep you updated, though, for sure, on this case because it's a crazy one. And that's it for this episode of Nurses Uncorked, where facts speak louder than followers. I want to thank everyone for downloading this episode. If you haven't done so already, please review, rate, and share this episode and the podcast with friends. Consider becoming a patron. It really does help me out tremendously. There is a link in the episode notes. I'm Nurse Erica. Make sure you follow me on social media at the Nurse Erica, and I'll see you in the fight.